Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on March the 10th in the year of our Lord 2026, and I've got a ton of good information for you tonight, so let's just jump over here to Murtech on Rumble. This is my Rumble channel. This is the video we're going over tonight, episode 1854. Let me jump into this and close out the live chat, slide down here and click the show more button to expand out the description box. Okay, here we are with Dan Bongino, Black Conservative Perspective, Rubin Report, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do need to give some shout outs here. I've got 26 new followers to my channel, and Debbie BS gave me a comment on my extra 636A and 636B. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. And thank you, Debbie BS, for your comments. So let me go ahead and give this a thumbs up. And folks, if you could give me a thumbs up here on this video, I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, let's get into this. Dan Bongino, shocking poll has Dems scrambling. Episode 2469. Okay, well, let's see what that's all about. Let's see what Dan Bongino has to say.
In the chat wrote before, hey, Dan, people are saying it's going to be World War III. What do you think? Folks, the Iranians, the Russians won't even give them super sensitive like missile technology, or China, because they know the Iranian mullahs are freaking crazy. And the Iranian mullahs sending ballistic missiles and drones all over the Middle East to countries, some countries that in the past may have been considered even quasi-allies of them, does not bode well for you sharing nuclear weapons technology with them in the future, because they know if the Iranians had nuclear weapons that they would have just launched the nukes everywhere and destroyed everything. The World War III talk is like, listen, man, I'm always worried about World War III. Of course, you know, it's a possibility someday some global conflict will break out involving nuclear weapons. Let's all pray and hope to God that never happens. But let's be realistic too. World War III, we've heard this 1,000 times. The Abraham Accords, World War III, move the embassy. World War III, Soleimani. World War III, Baghdadi. How about that? World War III. It's always World War III. I want to see freaking data. I'm sorry. After you've made 20 predictions about World War III and 0 of them have worked out, I kind of am like ready to move on from you. Am I crazy? Folks, one of the things about this show, and I think this is why our audience always kicks ass and takes names, and why we're always at the top of these charts, is because we just don't bullshit people. We just don't bullshit people. World War III. I know it makes a great headline. Stunner, World War III tomorrow. But it's just, you're never going to build an audience like that long term that's loyal, where people show up in the chat before they go to work because they know you're full of shit. I got a lot to talk about. I got a banger of an opener today. We're going to hit like 3 or 4 huge stories right away in the beginning, including IMHO, fellas, ladies. My humble opinion here. The most dangerous problem we're going to have moving forward, God forbid we lose the midterms and the presidency in 2028. The judicial system right now is being infiltrated, and they're not even hiding it, by left-leaning groups learning how to engage in like jury nullification and selective targeting. It is going to be open season. And it's not going to be a matter of reforming federal agencies. This isn't federal agencies we're talking about. These are jury pools. I'll show you what I mean. I got that. Really, when I say shocking poll, and I mean it. It's not so much a shocking poll for us, but I promise it was for the Democrats. Why did I hear myself there? Trying to remind me how loud I am. Today's show brought to you by See with Bond. Haven't been happy. This is food. We need to food. You guys liked the shirt yesterday, by the way. This is a blue one. All America, all that time. The lovely Paula, she loves this designing shirts. It's her thing. So she's very proud of it. You can pick one up if you want one at Bongino.com. Up to you, of course, totally. So this is going to be a huge monster problem. Not going to be, it already is. Disregard. Rewind a tape. Scratch sound. It already is a problem. The problem is it's going to be an even bigger problem going forward. The left has figured out through weaponizing government, which again, we are doing our best and did our best to clean up. It is not going to happen overnight. Again, I'm not going to bullshit you. All these other people out there, oh, you should have come in there at day one and axed the entire place. Government weaponize the government. Donald Trump supporter targeting episode. They want to be sure, even if they can't use the government to do it, they can use state liberal government and they can weaponize juries. Look at this post by Carrie Severino. You need to check this out. She's a really great analyst about what goes on in the judicial branch of government. She says, presenting the left-wing dark money apparatus's latest scheme to influence judicial outcomes. Read this and weep. It wasn't enough for George Soros and the dark money web to back far-left prosecutors who release criminals or to bolster judges who ignore the rule of law. It's another aspect of the legal system these groups are trying to infiltrate. This is huge. Check this out. We saw it. Left-wing activist groups are teaching libs now how to get through jury selection and vote not guilty on Trump DOJ prosecutions, recordings show. Folks, not an excuse, a freaking explanation. If we don't understand the problem, we're never going to be able to fix it. This is a huge problem because you can appoint everyone you want in the USIC, the Intel community, the FBI, the DOJ, select whoever you want for president. If we can't get prosecutions on public corruption because they're just going to vote no on anyone put over there, this is a huge problem. Now, that's already impacted us in a number of cases. I say us, the people, the justice system, the FBI, you've seen it. This is a huge problem. The problem going forward is Washington, D.C. is 85+% Democrat. When you factor in left-leaning independents, it's probably closer to 90+. There are very few Republicans for a jury pool in Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, that creates what's known as a math problem. The chances of you getting a constitutionalist or Republican who actually believes in the rule of law on a jury in Washington, D.C. mathematically are not great if a bunch of big government liberals who just want Trump people prosecuted no matter what and anti-Trump people let off. It's a huge math problem. You get two things. You get jury nullification when bad guys get caught. And then on the other side, you get selective targeting. Like in a number of cases of Trump officials through the D.C. circuit where cases went on and on despite no evidence whatsoever they did anything wrong. Folks, let me tell you something, and you're hearing this from me, and it gives me absolutely no pleasure in telling you this, but listen up, and as my grandmother used to say, and listen good, Daniel, listen good. If there is ever going to be a breakup of the national justice system and a cold, legal civil war, I don't mean legal civil war like legal, I mean legal like in the legal judicial process, the legal process. This is going to be it. What do you mean by that? If this gets ugly and Democrats in Washington, D.C., remember the sandwich guy throws the sandwich at the cop on camera. They're like, no, nothing happened there. Oh, okay, so everybody should start throwing sandwiches at cops. Is that what you're suggesting? How could you not indict on that? That's insane. That's a small example of how bad I think this is going to get if the left keeps this up, and they will. And what you're going to see now, going forward, if this gets bad and doesn't hit an asymptote, keeps getting worse, you're going to see people in conservative states, and they're just going to be like, hey, man, you're going to have to come send someone after you. I'm not going up to D.C. I'm not going there. The judicial process is completely rigged. They're going to have to see upper-level courts creep in here and clean this mess up. Folks, this is a freaking disaster, man. I'm telling you, this has the potential to get really bad really quick. And of course, you were never, ever going to get honest reporting on this disgusting, filthy, freaking phenomenon of jury nullification from the left and selective targeting from a left-wing media. Put up that CNN tweet. This rates up there as possibly, folks, one of the top 10 worst tweets I've seen of all time, and that's saying a lot. So we had the incident with these two subjects and suspects in this case up in New York, throwing a bomb at that Jake Lang protest. By the way, a viable bomb, according to the NYPD themselves. It was a TATP explosive. Here's how CNN frames this. Two Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning for what could have been a normal day, enjoying the city, during abnormally warm weather. Keep this up. What the does that have to do with the bombing? Keep this up. What the does the weather have to do with the bombing? Like it sounds like two Pennsylvania teens. They were getting ready to enjoy a picnic. It was abnormally warm weather. They were sunning their nuts in Central Park, trying to get some testosterone from the photons hitting their testicles. It was a wonderful day. They were eating a ham sandwich. Oh, a lot of ham sandwich. Can you do that? Oh my gosh, look at this. They were having strawberry smoothies. What the kind of opening is this? Then it goes on. It gets even worse. How the hell could it get even worse? Because it's CNN. It always gets worse. But in less than an hour, when they stopped sunning their nuts, little improv, their lives would drastically change. Gee, why would their lives change? Why do you think that is? Guy said it right. It's just crazy when you throw a couple bombs. How do your lives change? This is the beginning of this is framed like their lives changed, like they were sunning their balls and someone came and kicked them in the nuts and put a bomb next to their nuts or something. Their lives drastically changed. That's crazy how that happens. Their lives would drastically change as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs. Here we finally get to it. During an anti-Muslim protest outside of Mayor Mamdani's home, here's what we know so far. Acting as if Mamdani, the liberal lunatic, that they bombed his house. So people are responding back. I saw some lady comment that her friend read the tweet and was like, man, that's so crazy. Like, they attacked Mamdani. The lady's like, what the f*** are you talking about? They didn't attack Mamdani. They attacked the Jake Lang protest. That had nothing to do with what are you talking about? Oh, my gosh. That weirdest, he's like, this has got to be the weird. That is top 10 craziest freaking tweets you've ever seen. Their lives would drastically change. That happens when you throw bombs and shit. That happens. That happens. Here's my PSA of the day. Do we even need to say this? I think we do. Republicans pounce. Who just said that? Let's go, Brandon, and Republican in the chat. Republicans pounce. It's so true. Here's Justin, PSA for the day. If you don't want your life, as CNN said, to drastically change, Justin, is this not good advice? It's a good idea to not do a TATP bomb, load it with shrapnel, and throw it at an event. You think pretty good advice? Justin says it's sound. He's doing the Spock thing. Your logic is sound. I'm not even a Star Trek fan. I like more kind of Star Wars. I don't like these guys, but whatever. The logic there is sound. Throwing bombs, bad idea. Folks, don't do it. Friends, don't let friends throw TATP bombs at a protest. Because CNN tells you your life may drastically change. I'm almost crying here. If you watch, that's why my eyes are rolled around. I cannot believe we have to address this kind of shit on the air. Do you understand if we had an honest media, the world would be a completely different place? And here's the real kick in the gonads here. That this president, he obviously can't stand the left-wing media. I can't either. But he understands he's the president in a republic. And he is still easily by a long shot, based on the number of press availabilities, pressers, and questions he answers, by a moonshot, is the most accessible president in American history. There's not even a close second. I take that back. There is a close second. You know who it is? Trick question. Yeah, damn it. You got it. Yes, he's finally. Yes, Trump 45 is the closest. Same guy. Same guy. Here's John Carl in a video. John Carl's an ABC reporter. He's a left-leaning guy. Not the most left-leaning guy, but he's doing a TikTok video. You don't take my word for it. Despite the fact that the media just constantly shits on us, this president, all the time with stupid posts like that, he still takes their calls. By the way, I can vouch. I said this out a pat on the back. Oh, look at me, Evan. I rarely, if ever, call the president. Rarely, okay? I don't pretend me and him are coffee buddies and friends. We're friends in the sense that I worked for him. I know I don't bust his chops and waste his time on the phone. He doesn't need to hear from me. He's got things going on. I don't waste his time. However, these reporters call and he picks up the phone, talks to anyone, even after they shit on him. This is the most accessible president in history. I thought he was a fascist. No more kings. Here, listen to John Carl talk about it himself.
I've covered 5 different presidents. I have never seen one other than Donald Trump who regularly takes phone calls from reporters. So I thought I would talk a little bit about that. I've spoken to him over the phone 3 times since the military operation, the war against Iran started. In each of those cases, I simply called him and he answered. Some of the conversations are short. Some of them can be quite lengthy. I talked to him today during the middle of the afternoon, and the call lasted for about 20 minutes.
I mean, guys, ladies, come on. I'm just asking you in the chat, like, let's be real here, even if you're a Trump hater. Does this sound like the activities of a monarch, a fascist, a king? Kings were accessible like that? People just used to walk into the palace and say, walk into the castle. King Joey Bag of Donuts. I got a couple questions. I got me some questions. When the hell did that ever happen? What? There's an update? They didn't know way. Is this real? Live time. Hold on. First in a long time. Live time Dan Bongino show update showing you the show is live. We're not messing with you. To watch for someone who noticed yesterday. Different one today. But whatevs. CNN update on the craziest post of all time. A post regarding the 2 individuals arrested for throwing homemade bombs outside of Mamdani's home failed to reflect the gravity of the incident, thereby breaching the editorial standards we require for all of our reporting. It has therefore been deleted. Too late, CNN. The Dan Bongino show already reported on it.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there, folks, and let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from, there we go, Dan Bongino. I am following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, I'm like 15 minutes into this video. I'm going to include this in my daily news wrap-up so you'll be able to see the rest of it, and also the polls that he's talking about. Shocking poll has Dems scrambling. But this is why I share this information out, folks. I mean, Dan has the resources to go out and get this information, so that's why I share it out for people that just don't have a chance to watch his show or whatever. But this is what I'm pushing here. No nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. The kind of information that you're not going to get on CNN or MS Now or any of the other mainstream hacks. Okay? And that's important. Like Dan said, if you don't know what's broken, you don't know how to fix it. And that's what I'm trying to do here, is let people know what's broken. All right. Let's get back here. Hi, K Wolf. How you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay, let me close the chat down and come down here and see what Black Conservative Perspective has to say. Fed up TSA workers, not fed as in federal, but they're fed up. TSA workers lash out over Democrat shutdown for illegals causing massive air travel. Amazing. Let's take a listen and see what he has to say.
And then I walked over here and my jaw dropped.
Travelers were shocked to see massive TSA lines span across Armstrong International Airport. Countless people were in the long line that spanned from the parking garage around the airline check-in area and ended on the second level.
I had to weave through a bunch of lines that was actually just one line for the security that wove all around, and it was, where does it start? And they're like, in the garage.
According to airport leaders, it's an impact from the partial government shutdown. On Sunday, they experienced a shortage of TSA workers, causing major delays through the security checkpoints.
Meanwhile, we are in a DHS shutdown right now because Republicans have refused to agree to the type of bold, transformative, meaningful, and dramatic reforms we are demanding in order for the Department of Homeland Security funding bill to move forward. And I won't go through all of the demands, much of which we've talked about repeatedly in the public, but one of those demands is keep ICE out of sensitive locations. And we've defined that as schools, houses of worship, hospitals, and polling sites. We want an explicit prohibition that ICE can go nowhere near any polling sites in the United States of America.
I wonder why that would be. I wonder why the Democrats don't want ICE agents near voting poll sites. Could it be that maybe illegals are voting in our elections and determining who should be an elected representative? Illegals? Aliens? Non-citizens? Is that why they wouldn't want ICE to be there? Because that would screw up their cheating and fraud? Interesting. Anybody with any common sense in the universe, in the multiverse, would say, why? What difference does it make if ICE agents are at a polling? Because only U.S. citizens should be there voting, particularly in federal elections. Amazing, isn't it? These Democrats, they're just absolutely lunatics. And unfortunately, there's a lot of Democrats that say, well, I don't see anything wrong with that.
It's one of our demands. We're not going to bend on it.
Boy. So we got to talk about some insane travel delays and flight cancellations that are piling up due to the Democrat shutdown, right? That is what's happening. The Democrats are withholding funding from DHS, which means withholding funding from TSA workers, from government workers, from individuals who are responsible for protecting us as we fly and as we travel in and out of the country, around the country. And this is one of the worst times ever to have the DHS shut down because of the fact that we are facing terrorism in this country. Some of it due to the fact that we're engaged in a military operation in Iran, and you have some of these Islamic extremists who are now deciding that they want to show their asses and to commit acts of terror, right? We've already seen this happen a couple of times in this country already. There's been flights that have been grounded due to the potential for terroristic threats. This is the wrong time to be playing politics with funding for DHS, but Democrats have decided that this is what they're going to do because they want to virtue signal to the far left. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and roll this clip from a couple of airports that are dealing with some of these massive delays, and then get into Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democrat Party, telling us why is it that they're continuing to keep DHS shut down despite the fact that it seems as if they're putting our country and our passengers who are traveling in danger. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Hours. That's how long Armstrong International told travelers they could wait at security today. The delays may not go away anytime soon. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Devin Bartolotta. Those lines were caused by the partial government shutdown, which has meant a shortage of TSA workers. The airport says the delays could continue through the end of the week. Kai Nevo shows us just how bad it got this afternoon.
From the moment the airport opened for business on Sunday, the lines grew at the TSA checkpoint.
I was here 3 weeks ago during Mardi Gras, and it was no problem. This is insane.
The reaction of the line was similar for everyone departing Louis Armstrong International, as they walked into the terminal and saw the line stretch from security on the second floor to the fourth floor of the parking garage.
To see the garage, we got to walk all over and just hang out. And I started a stopwatch. 32 minutes. 32 so it's moving, but it's a long line. We're going to miss our flight, I'm sure.
And missing their flight was the case for many who didn't come hours early.
That was a nice surprise. I had to change my flight, so rather than a 3 p.m. flight, it is now a 8 p.m. flight.
The reason behind the long lines was the ongoing partial government shutdown. Airport leaders say,
again, the Democrats don't give a crap about anything but their own power. You know, if this is what it takes to try to get the fraud money that they need and no ICE agents at polls so that they can continue to maintain their power, they don't care. They don't care how it affects people negatively or anyway. All they care about are themselves, and the Democrat voters don't see this. I don't understand. Are they that stupid?
A big portion of the security agents didn't come to work, making it a challenge for the 24,000 passengers looking to depart MSY.
TSA, you need to figure it out. I don't know what you guys got going on, but please figure it out. I'm just trying to get home.
Well, it's not TSA.
Yep.
It's the Democrats. And see, that's the problem
That's
with
right.
a lot of this country, right? People are not properly informed about why this stuff is happening. It's happening because Democrats have decided to shut down DHS.
Yes.
They're not paying the TSA workers. Now, you know, I think that they still should show up, right? But I kind of get it. I kind of understand. They've been through this multiple times over the past, few months, multiple shutdowns. And I guess when your paycheck is continuing to get delayed over and over and over again, there are people who are just going to outright quit. They're going to say, you know what, this is not worth it because it's not a reliable job. I mean, the thing about government jobs, right, the appeal of a government job is reliability, right? It's the idea that, hey, my job security is good, that I know no matter what, that paycheck is coming, okay? When you take away reliability of a paycheck, of a job, right, from a government job like TSA, and again, you know, hey, say what you want about TSA. It doesn't look very enjoyable to me, right? You got to deal with a whole lot of angry people, a whole lot of people who don't know how to follow instructions, right? So I get it, right? It's not an easy job, okay? And when you are continuously missing a paycheck over politics, yeah, I'm not surprised that some people are like, you know what, I'm just not going to come to work. Or I'm just not going to show up. It's not worth it, right? Or they just flat out quit. So I get it. I still think that they should show up. But at the same time, people have to be informed and understand that this is about Democrats, right? He needs to be asking, what are Democrats doing? Democrats need to get their stuff together and to vote to open back up DHS.
Lawmakers are trading blame on the reason behind the shutdown. Homeland Security posted on X, Americans are now missing their flights because of the Democrats' shutdown of DHS.
Yeah, here's the crazy thing about it, right? The crazy thing about it is that if the roles were reversed and Republicans were doing this with a Democrat in office, okay, don't you think that BS Now and CNN, they would be letting people know every single day that this is happening because of the Republican shutdown, right? But because it's Democrats, though, they don't really talk about it that much, right? They don't really want to tell you that, hey, this is happening because of Democrats.
Their political stunt is forcing patriotic TSA officers to work without pay. Congressman Troy Carter responded, saying, Republicans are refusing to negotiate to stop this shutdown because they don't want to hold DHS accountable for ICE agents murdering U.S. citizens. Airport leaders say they expect to deal with these issues until that partial government shutdown ends. For now, reporting from Louis Armstrong International Airport.
Wow. So let's check in on Phoenix. So it's not just New Orleans. It is airports across the country are experiencing this. So if you're going to the airport soon, right, spring break, whatever, you probably should show up early, right? Very, very, very early. earlier than usual because it is likely that you're going to experience some chaos and a lot of delays getting through TSA due to the Democrat shutdown. And you have TSA workers who are now lashing out over the fact that this continues to happen.
Travel troubles at airports across the country. The partial government shutdown is on day 23, and tens of thousands of TSA agents are working without pay.
Some are starting to call out sick, leading to long security lines and ripple effects in other cities. Megan Spector joins us live from Sky Harbor Airport tonight with the very latest. Megan.
Yeah, well, the good news for travelers flying out of Sky Harbor, security lines have been moving smoothly throughout the day. In fact, right now, it's just a 9-minute wait time to get through security at Terminal 3, which is a huge difference from what other airports across the country are seeing. Entering its fourth week, the partial government shutdown is hitting travelers hard. Security lines are surging across major hubs like Houston, New Orleans, and Atlanta, with wait times stretching up to 3 hours.
When we walked in, we saw the giant Southwest line and then realized that I guess there was a TSA staffing shortage, and we realized that we were going to miss our 2:40 flights,
leading to missed flights and travel day delays.
We got a hotel room so that we would have a place to be for the next few hours, and now we're back trying again to get on our 10:45 flight.
With this shutdown, most TSA officers are working without pay. The results, a surge in workers calling out, creating staffing shortages and therefore long lines.
We're fed up. We had enough. This is the third shutdown in a matter of 6 months.
Jovan Petkovic has been with TSA for 10 plus years and is based out of Phoenix. He calls the shutdown a huge economic roller coaster.
Houston, Atlanta passengers, how many delays is it? How many flight attendants are being impacted by this because of their flights either being delayed or being canceled out? That means they're not getting paid. If you're not sitting behind the controls as a pilot, you're not getting the paycheck.
The Trump administration and DHS are pointing fingers at Democrats, saying this chaos is a result of their refusal to fund DHS. The Senate voted Thursday 51-45, failing to advance the legislation to end the partial shutdown.
This is a problem of policy, not personnel. The rot is deep. No one person can straighten this up until the president changes the whole agency, stops the violence.
Bullshit. They're lying to us, folks. They always do. Okay, I'm going to pause that there. I will include this in my daily news wrap-up so you can see the rest of it. I'm like 10 minutes into this 18-minute video, but I want to move on. The lies that they tell, I mean, bold-faced, straight-faced lie. It's not, the president has nothing to do with this. It's in the Senate. Okay? Actually, if there's anything to be blamed, it would be John Thune for not busting up the filibuster. There was 51 yes votes and 47 no. That's a majority. But with this bullshit, they have to have a 60 vote count for anything to pass. Thune, the Republican leader of the Senate, needs to bust that up. Okay, let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Black Conservative Perspective. Let me come in here and I will save that to my daily news wrap-up so you can see the rest of it. Unbelievable, folks. Again, this is why I share this information out, so people can have the opportunity to hear the truth. Okay? All right, let's jump back here. Hi, Deb Brandt. How's things doing down under? Okay, let me slide. Deb Brandt is from Australia. She likes to join us, and I definitely appreciate that. Rubin report. Outrage after Zohran Mamdani lies about Muslim terror attack in New York City. Let's check it out, see what he's got to say.
The first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home.
this city.
I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home.
This is wild out of New York City. So first I want to read you a tweet by New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani and watch all the misdirections here, and then we'll tell you the story. Yesterday, white supremacist Jake Lang organized a protest outside Gracie Mansion rooted in bigotry and racism. Such hate has no place in New York City. It is an affront to our city's values and the unity that defines who we are. What followed was even more disturbing. Violence at a protest is never acceptable. The attempt to use an explosive device and hurt others is not only criminal, it is reprehensible and the antithesis of who we are. I want to thank the brave men and women of New York City Police Department who acted quickly to keep New Yorkers safe. Our officers ran towards danger without hesitation, demonstrating once again the courage and dedication it takes to protect this city every single day. My administration is closely monitoring the situation, and I remain in close contact with our police commissioner. Connor, leave that up for just a second because it's interesting. You read this. Okay, so this guy, Jake Lang, who Mamdani tells you is a white supremacist. Okay, I don't know enough about Jake Lang to comment on that. I know he does not like radical Islam for sure, but it's a affront to our city's values that this white supremacist showed up. What followed is even more disturbing. And then he talks about this explosive device. He doesn't tell you who brought the explosive device. Kind of sounds like it was one of Jake Lang's buddies, but that's not what happened. Here's a little bit more from Mamdani. This is from this morning before we unpack what actually happened.
Good morning. On Saturday, a protest was held outside Gracie Mansion, where I live with my wife, Rama. Neither of us were home at the time. This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy entitled Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City. I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home.
Listen to me. This man is evil, and now I'm going to explain it. I mean, if you're watching the show, you know he is evil, and he's using confusion and conflation. He's implying that someone came outside of Gracie Mansion because he is the Muslim mayor to kill him or throw a bomb and kill him and his supporters and his wife and somehow Islam and Islamophobia and the rest of it. Do we have video of the guy throwing the, oh, we do? That's the guy who is doing it. And he doesn't appear to be a white supremacist to me. Do we have an image of that guy real quick before we tell you a little bit more about him? So there he is throwing, and we'll have a little bit more on exactly what he was throwing in just a moment. But okay, so you can see what Zohran did here. In his tweet and in his statement, the implication is he's a Muslim, and there were some bigots that showed up, and somebody had a bomb. But it turns out, well, yeah, it wasn't Jake Lang or the white supremacists. That guy was a jihadi himself. Listen to this from Bill Malugin on Fox. New, per 3 federal law enforcement sources, the 2 suspects arrested by NYPD for throwing an IED after yelling Allahu Akbar at a protest in New York City are both believed to be U.S. citizens. Amir Balat and Ibrahim Kayumi are in custody, and NYPD confirms it was a real IED. Here's a bit more from Illusion. More, I'm told by federal law enforcement sources that a New York City IED suspect Amir Balat's parents are both from Turkey and were naturalized into U.S. citizens in 2017, where Ibrahim Kayumi's parents are both from Afghanistan. Mom naturalized in 2009, dad in 2004. So do you get what happened here? 2 Islamists, it sounds like second-generation Americans, one from Turkey and one from Afghanistan, yelled Allahu Akbar through an explosive device at the purported white supremacist. I'm not defending, I'm not even commenting on any of the things that Jake Lang or that crew did. They are exercising their free speech. You like it, you don't like it. This is the same New York City that they'll allow Hamas supporters to stand outside temples and scream at random Jews, right? So, okay, New York City has fostered and created really an untenable situation that will obviously get much worse. But what the disgusting part of this, outside of the bomb
that the jihadists threw is that the mayor is pretending he's the victim of this thing. Evil, extraordinarily evil.
All right. I always like to share Dave Rubin. He's definitely puts things in a proper perspective, if you ask me. Okay, clicking on the Rumble link, it shows us that this video does come from the Rubin Report. I'm following the channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Alrighty, let's jump back here and go down to Wendy Bell, a 4-week war. Okay, well, let's just see what she has to say about that. Oh, and before I start this, folks, I do want to apologize for having to refresh my Rumble Studio. I mean, it's another one of the situations where my definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over again, yet I'm getting different results. Now, the standard definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But that doesn't happen for me because I share the video screen, I start the video, and the audio comes through on my headphones, but it's not transmitted out to the audience. So that's why I had to refresh Rumble Studio. Hopefully, keep my fingers crossed. I got my trusty phone here, so I check it on my phone to see if it's actually being transmitted out, the audio. I have to do that every time, and sometimes it takes, like 30, 45 seconds for a delay for that information to actually get to my phone. So hopefully the audio will come through here for Wendy Bell. Let's get it started. Please enjoy.
I want to dedicate this monologue, and I will tell you, I have no idea where it's going because I'm drawing a blank right now. I want to dedicate it to everybody out there who is a whistleblower, everybody out there who does what you heard Clarence Thomas talking about in the open. It is my favorite thing, I believe, that a public figure has said. No matter what the world is doing around you, North is still North. No matter if they throw rockets at your face or what, North is still North. No matter how they try to gun for you and shut you down and abolish you from society, North is still North. And it is that philosophy, it is that mentality that is going to save this country. We're at this really weird, delicate place right now. And it's eyes on the Capitol, right? Where you have a Senate Majority Leader in John Thune, who Mark Wayne Mullen, who's been tapped by the president to take over for Kristi Noem as the Secretary of Homeland Security. Mark Wayne Mullen says John Thune is a good guy. He's a friend of his. So I don't understand, what is the disconnect going on at the Senate? Does John Thune not understand that people who say we want the SAVE Act, does he not understand that when polls suggest 83%, when you put all of us together in one giant melting pot, 83% want freaking voter ID? Does John Thune not understand? Is he not listening? Is he not paying attention? Or does he not care? That is the great conundrum of the day, and we're going to dive into that. But before we do, I want to just for a moment speak about the speed with which, in this first year of this presidency, this president has changed not just America, but the world. He has absolutely single-handedly, with peace through strength, and the work that he did to lay the foundation of where we are today in his first term. This president has completely transformed not only the reputation of America vis-a-vis her military on the world stage and told basically everybody, yeah, I'm not so sure you want to do that. I'm not so sure you want to scramble any jets or launch any missiles against anybody that's affiliated with this great country, because we will find you and we will kill you. Game over, lights out. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not even been 3 weeks in Iran. We're not talking about forever wars. We're not talking about the machine of munitions or the bloodshed on the field. This president in 1 year has completely changed the game. He's changed how the cards are dealt, who gets what, and on a whim and to his desires, he decides what is the trump card, pun intended. I want to think, though, for a minute, as the media do everything they can to diminish the remarkable speed with which America is roaring back. Can we all just go back in time and remember what they tried to give us in Joe Biden? They tried to tell us that President Trump, who was wildly successful despite all of the impeachment attempts and all of the nonsense and mumbo jumbo, including January 6th, which was their Hail Mary, right, was one of the most successful presidents of our lifetimes, if not the. And that if they hadn't allowed the fossil Joe Biden to be cheated for as prolifically and as absurdly in your face that they did, we wouldn't be going through this. One could argue that more than 1 million people in Europe would still be alive because Vladimir Putin would not have gone into Ukraine, and that whole nonsense wouldn't have happened. One could argue that October 7th would not have happened had Donald Trump been president. One could further argue, right, that all of those Americans who were taken hostage would be alive today, and that the young men and women who just went to a music festival, who ended up getting mowed down and assassinated, would be with their families today looking forward to spring. They gave us Joe Biden, a corrupt man who was obviously in advanced phases of decline. And when they lied to us and told us that he won, despite all of our spidey senses and just good old-fashioned common sense, they hid him from us. They weekend at Bernie'd him, got him juiced up on whatever it was he needed to be vertical for the requisite time to at least look as though he was doing one of something. They made all the decisions through an auto pen. And they took him and put him on vacation here and there and trotted him out every now and again when it was necessary. He wasn't available to the media. He didn't take their phone calls. He didn't take their questions. They were scripted, predetermined, and he needed cheat sheets to remember people, important people, including Hillary Clinton. And they told you that, no, he's in charge. No, gas prices are going up because that's the cost of converting to this green climate garbage. Doesn't it feel good to get bent over every time you fill up, to know that you're probably not doing anything to save the earth? They started fiddling with our kids in schools and pushing this just bizarre ideology that nobody with even the basic rudimentary forms of common sense would agree to. And then when you try to stand up, the whistleblowers, the individuals who said North is still North, even if you stand by yourself, the people who got taken down, the people who were excommunicated, who were put on trial, found guilty, and thrown away, people whose Wikipedia profiles are complete farcical fabrications so that the real story, that they stole an election, installed a shell of a human being through which a puppet government created and run by Barack Obama and his insidious group of weirdos could further accelerate the demise of the United States, make us weaker, make the military worry about transgender nonsense, demean the values of this country, tear down statues, go after American history, apologize for American exceptionalism. Every single thing they did, was wrong. But some people stood up and they said something, and they did something, and they said, not on my watch. And many of them paid a price. That is what is required of each of us. It is no longer sufficient for you to hide behind your computer. It's not fair anymore for you to say somebody else will take care of it, or as I'm sure there's somebody out there who's working on this very thing. No, see, making America great again means you have a job. You have a role. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how well you are. I don't care where you live. You have a job. And the moment is now. Get involved. Flood the phones. Call the Capitol. Flood John Thune. Do what needs to be done. Push back on the fake news. Demand honesty. Or for heaven's sakes, turn it off and never pay attention to it again. But see, you're invited to this grand celebration, this thing called the Golden Age. But there is a price of admission. It's not going to cost you money. It's already cost you enough. But you need to help get this thing across the finish line. We must have our elections back. We must have America back. And it starts now. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's listen to this audio soundbite of the Senate Majority Leader. I want you to hear what he says. I want you to think about how you feel. Or all these people who want voter identification, who want the freaking elections once and for all to be trustworthy. Are we just some fringe ecosystem? Because John Thune thinks so. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Okay, I'm going to move this up past our commercial break, but I want to share some information with you from 1775 Coffee.
Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus, no crash.
All single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions. And a black 1775 tumbler.
$170 worth of coffee and gear. Yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is.
Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does.
Okay,
just don't make no sense. Do it. No. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. A delight to be with you. Okay, so out of touch and nearly out of time. I'm trying to figure out why John Thune is, I don't know, somebody that the president preferred in that position as the Senate Majority Leader. I don't get it. I don't know if he's just clueless or if he's deep state through and through. I mean, his F Liberty score would submit that. John Thune, I don't think, has actively come out against the president, but I also don't see him as a staunch defender as someone like a Ken Paxton would be. So this is what got my, unease in a bunch overnight. Thune chalks up MAGA pressure on the Save America Act to a paid influencer ecosystem. This is from the Washington Examiner. Curious. Senate Majority Leader John Thune downplayed the conservative backlash he is facing over the Save America Act, chalking it up to a paid influencer ecosystem that is amplifying calls for its passage. Yeah, John, Earth to John. Come in, John. Are you there? Tune in Tokyo. I don't know. Where are you? This is not a paid influencer ecosystem because we're not the Jack, The jackasses outside paid to be there with some dumb sign on the street corner. And then at 5 o'clock, we quickly break down and head home. See you later, Earl. All right, Sheila, I'll catch you tomorrow. Right? No. See, we want this passed because we don't trust our elections. Because 2020 was stolen, 2022 was fiddled with, and so is 2024. And now the FBI has its eyes on freaking Maricopa County, Arizona. Damn right they should. It's like 750,000 ballots. We're like, yeah, about those. Really? Thune cast fresh doubt Monday that the Senate had the votes to pass the GOP voting bill as conservative pundits and a chorus of social media personalities have been demanding for more than a month. Okay, that's accurate. We've been saying that. The pressure campaign has moved several Senate Republicans to support the bill, even if it means burning weeks of floor time under a talking filibuster. Make them freaking earn it. Yet Thune told reporters there was enough resistance to that approach that he cannot guarantee an outcome, even as he promises to hold a Senate vote. Having studied it, he said, researching it pretty thoroughly, right. You have to show me how, in the end, it prevails and succeeds. Because I think what's been promised out there, that it would actually, in the end, get an outcome, well, I find it very hard to see that based on actual past experience. Yeah, that's the problem, John. That's what we're asking for, sweet lumps. See, that's what Make America Great Again is. That's what Drain the Swamp was all about. You with it? You with it? Because it doesn't feel like you're with it. Here's the president talking about the SAVE Act. He's like, look, I don't know what ego chamber y'all are living in, but everywhere I go out in the world, out in the United States, because I'm hearing the same thing. Mr. President, how about we pass the SAVE Act, huh?
I don't think you can politically exist if you're not going to do voter ID and these things. I don't think the people in this country will stand for it. So I'm making my biggest plea tonight. It'll make you, and I'm not doing it for this reason at all. It'll guarantee the midterms. It'll guarantee the midterms. If you don't get it, big trouble, my opinion. If you get this, your midterms, and they know it. For two reasons. Number one, they won't be able to cheat. And number two, the people are demanding it. Every time I go out, Save America, sir, Save America Act. We want the Save America Act, sir. That's all they talk about. They don't talk about housing. They don't talk about anything. That's what they talk about. And if you send it up there, you're going to win the midterms at levels that you can't even believe. And you're going to win every election for a long time until somebody screws things up, and hopefully that won't happen. But I've never been more confident that if we keep these promises and deliver on this popular agenda, the American people will stand with us in overwhelming numbers, just as they did in 2024.
I do not know if the television networks took that. There was President Trump addressing this Republican retreat at his club in Doral near Miami. But C-SPAN was on it like white on rice. Must see television right there. C-SPAN is, and the president saying what it is. Look, if we can't guarantee who people are, that they say they are, who they are, we don't have fair elections that people can depend on. Period. Well, John Thune has previously called the outside push to pass the Save America Act, which, as everybody knows, requires voter ID and proof of citizenship to register to vote. Like, this isn't complicated. We're not asking for your firstborn. You don't have to give any plasma. We're not asking for your ova. We're asking you to do what is right. And it is right to force people to show who the hell they are. John Thune? Right? I don't know. It's kind of a fringe ecosystem demanding this. Either you're so out of the loop or you're a deep state goon. Either way, I have zero patience. I want you to hear this. This is Brian Stile, Wisconsin representative. I think that's how you say his last name. And he's like, look, we're over here in the House. We've passed this thing multiple times. Like, we've tweaked it and we've passed it. And it's like, what's going on over in the Senate? What the hell is your hang up over there? It's well said.
A lot of us in the House of Representatives are frustrated. We're not seeing this legislation move across the desk and across the floor to be signed into law because it's being blocked in the United States Senate. It's frustrating to me, and I think it's frustrating to so many Americans. I think it's exactly correct. The president needs to be firm in the negotiations with the Senate to get this across the line. The Save America Act is currently drafted is incredibly common sense. It's saying You need to show photo identification when you go to vote, and you need to be a U.S. citizen when you do go and vote.
And so now that call to action that I alluded to in the monologue is to be more like the Canada truckers, more like the Dutch farmers. We need to actually show the heck up and demand. This doesn't happen with just a tacit phone tree. We gotta nail this. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the president will accept nothing but unconditional surrender, and we are way ahead of schedule. Could this be a 4-week war in Iran? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here and include this in my daily news wrap-up. Let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio.
Thing called the Go.
This is the video that I've shared with you. I'm following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Let's jump back here and let me copy the live chats into a comment so they will be a permanent part of this video. Because as we know, when the live stream is over, the live chats just kind of just vaporize into hyperspace, whatever. But now they're permanent with this video. So thank you very much, folks, for your chats. I greatly appreciate that. Okay, and let me remind you that these videos that I share with you are videos that come directly from the producers that created them. Okay, here in the description box I have a link to the videos themselves, as well as a link to the channels that produce those videos. Okay, and these videos that I share with you here are videos that I've posted on Mertech.com, where I have over 40 no-nonsense, common sense, logic and truth videos, the kind of information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media. I'd like to share all this information with you, but unfortunately I just don't have the time to do so, and that's why I've put together my daily news wrap-up, my playlist here. As I said, we're going to share the rest of Wendy Bell Radio, her video, Dan Bongino, Black Conservative Perspective, Dr. Steve Turley, On the Fringe, X22 Report, Bongino Report, Benny Johnson, American Center for Law and Justice. All right, I've got, says 18 videos here in my list, and I've got about 9 or 10 hours worth of great information. So give me a few minutes to go ahead and get this set up in my Rumble studio. And so go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer,